Welcome to this quick guide to help you prepare for and make the most of the Medical Careers Fair. The feedback we receive from medical students shows that sometimes they lack confidence in knowing the best approaches to make and the right questions to ask. I'm Susan Bird, one of the career consultants here at the University of Edinburgh Career Service, and I'm the Link Career Consultant for the medical school. I'm going to share with you my top 10 tips on how you can make the most of the Medical Careers Fair. Careers Fair is a great opportunity for you to meet with clinicians and specialist practitioners and find out more about their specialties. And by attending, you'll get useful information that will help you both when it comes to making decisions, but also doing applications and interviews. So, first things first, my top tip is before you go, do your research. Research the specialties that will be coming. The medical school should be able to indicate who has agreed to come on the 2 days, and I've asked them to make a list available on eMake if they can of which specialties will be coming on each day. So identify who you want to speak to and read the professional body websites. You can be prepared with a few questions. Not everybody will be there, so keep an open mind and identify who you'd like to talk to. It's unlikely you want to talk to all of them, so draw up a bit of a hit list of those you particularly want to speak to. And be prepared with a few questions based on the research, things that you'd like to find out after looking at the website. I'll cover some questions in more detail later on in this video, but be open-minded and consider some less well-known specialisms. Even if you've got a hit list of those you want to talk to, think about a few others. After all, they might be offering just what you're looking for. My second tip is to think about your own experience. Remind yourself of your achievements and experiences and ensure that you can summarise these if someone wants to know a little bit more about you when you talk to them. So review your CV, your LinkedIn profile, any other records you have of your skills, experience and achievements so you can talk about these confidently on the day. Take a copy of your CV. You won't be handing it out. You can use it as a reference document when you're talking to the reps. We don't usually encourage students to ask employers to give feedback on CVs on the day, but the specialty reps might be willing. Just be conscious of their time and any other students who want to talk to them. The next piece of advice is prepare your introduction. Give them a brief snapshot of who you are before you launch into asking them questions. It's not about giving them your life story, but just a brief summary with your name, your area or areas of interest, and briefly why you're interested in that specialty. If you practice a mini pitch about yourself, it doesn't have to be a hard sell, just a simple brief introduction. For example, hi, my name's John. I've just started my final year. I'm interested in finding out more about XYZ, and I know from my research that your specialisms involve XYZ. Can you tell me a little bit more about what it involves on a day-to-day basis? Visit your top priority choice after you've talked with a few of the other ones. That gives you a chance to warm up and build up your confidence. My next tip is actually to go alone. Even if you're actually turning up at the fair with a group of friends, walk up to the stand and speak to the rep on your own, ask your own questions. Even if you and some of your friends have the same interests, you will want to ask your own questions and you'll make a much more positive impression on them if you're on your own rather than as part of a large group. My next tip, I know it sounds a bit basic, but smiling helps. Be purposeful, confident, enthusiastic, but also polite and courteous. Show them the professional people you already are. Arrive early if you can to avoid any queues and speak to them before they start getting a bit tired later on in the day. If you are talking to them up towards the end of the day when they're getting tired, if you're really enthusiastic, that will help them too. My next tip is thinking about the questions you want to ask. Try avoid asking anything basic you could find out from the specialty website, but you can use that information as a bit of a starting off point for your own questions. A common mistake people make at fairs is to ask the specialty rep, so what do you do? But show them you've done your basic research and ask questions that will give you some qualitative information. On your screen now, I've put some suggested questions. It's a starting off point to get you thinking, but these answers to these questions will give you some good inside information and could give you useful information for future applications and interviews. When you're preparing questions, bear in mind who you're talking to and how much experience they have. If they're fairly recently into their specialty, you might want to talk about the application and interview process. If they're more experienced, talking about career progression and training might be a good idea. What I've done, I've prepared what I'm calling a quick guide called Making the Most of the Medical Careers Fair. That's got some extra questions on it, and it's also got some space for you to jot down notes. I'm going to make this available to you on eMEG, and I'm also going to try and send it to you via the school or via Facebook, so you've got it for the day. Tip number 7 is be prepared for their questions. If you're approaching them, asking them some interesting questions yourself, they're more likely to be interested in you and might want to know a little bit about you. So don't worry, it's not an interview, but it's good to think about how you'd respond to some of the questions on this slide before you go. If you can answer them in a confident way, you'll make a really good impression with them. And thinking of the future, they could be a good contact or even a potential manager. Now, tip number 8 is to get the name of the person you've been talking to. So ask for business cards if they have them, or at least jot their name down before you leave, especially if you're planning on talking to several people on the day. This information can be useful when you're writing an application, as you can refer to the person that you've been talking to in your application and maybe something interesting they've told you. It also shows you've really researched that specialty and made the effort to talk to people who work in this area. Tip number 9 is make notes. Once you've spoken to somebody, go to a little quiet space, write down any useful notes from your discussion, their name, job role, any interesting information they've told you. You can use the quick guide that I'll send you to capture your notes. And do this in turn after you've spoken to each person you want to talk to while the conversation is still fresh in your mind, and particularly if you're planning on talking to quite a few people. Once you've written up your notes, review them, prepare your questions for the next person. And finally, tip number 10, not all specialties will be there on the day. It's not always possible for the school to get everybody. So was there a specialty you really wanted to explore, that you wanted to talk to, who wasn't there? So think about how you can get to somebody working in this area. So whether it's via academic contacts in the medical school, with hospital clinical contacts, through the professional bodies, using LinkedIn, reach out to them and see if you can have a brief informal discussion and ask them some of the questions that we've suggested. You can also look at the information that the Career Service provides on informational interviewing. So those were my top 10 tips for making the most of your medical careers fair. I hope you found them useful. Many thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you all at the Careers Fair. Thank you.